Previously, Kim was summoned into the fantastical world of Isgard, where he was forced to fight with demons. After slaying the Demon King, he returned to Earth. But the only way to enjoy his life and resurrect his favorite game company was to join the military. After going through the hellish treatment in the fantasy world, the military training was too easy for Kim. The military sent them for real-life training in a dungeon. But a demonic monster from the fantasy world showed up. Kim killed it in one punch and absorbed its demonic energy. According to his words, he was about 5% charged. Shortly after, the instructors woke up and the recruits explained to them that Kim went deeper into the dungeon by himself. Although the instructors were angry, they still had to go rescue him. At that moment, Kim appeared with the corpse of the Dark Hound. They realized that it was the cause of their misfortune and Kim saved them. They were deeply impressed and embarrassed, they praised him and expressed gratitude. Then the dungeon gate finally became accessible. As they were about to leave the dungeon, Kim received a message saying the error was fixed. Kim was startled to suddenly see the system window. He called it a fucking stupid system. The system displayed, Kim as the cult founder of the Lumi Nuna is my favorite character. His strength was 60, agility 60, stamina 60, demonic energy 10, and his only skill was an E-ranked skill called corruption. He was pissed to see such a weird status window. Not only were all his skills gone, but the cult. Lumi is a character from his favorite game, Dungeon Power Fighter. When he reached the peak of his dark magic power in the fantastical world, Isgard, he created that cult as a joke to get rid of the fanatics who followed him around like stalkers. In the end, it only created more fanatics. His demonic energy was gone when he came to this world, so he did expect some penalties. But from his endless list of skills he only had corruption. On top of that, its rank was fucking low, so its effects were probably only a stomach ache. Kim thought to himself that he only had one goal. To recover his powers in the shortest time possible, for the sake of the game company that has development problems due to monsters. He would get stronger and defeat all the monsters, to revive the game company that made the game, Dungeon Power Fighter. The next day, the entire training center was in an uproar. Over the fact that the dungeon gate closed and unknown monsters appeared while training was in session. Moreover, while the instructors couldn't do anything, a mere recruit managed to defeat a new species of monster. So all the recruits who should have received their private ranks and enjoyed freedom until dispatch were now on standby. And Kim was called into the battalion commander's office. The commander greeted him with a smile while punishing the instructor who was in charge of the gate. Then he told the instructor to leave and told Kim that an instructor who doesn't check the dungeons properly should be punished. After that, he said to Kim that the reason he was called was because he received the highest score. So he had a special proposal for him. The commander thought that Kim was a crane in a flock of chickens. It is an idiom to describe someone outstanding. He thought it would be a national loss if a talent like Kim were to join the regular ranks. So he decided to give him an offer. He told him that privates cannot take promotion exams for another year. However, it's a different story if he's granted an exception. Then with great enthusiasm, he told him that he would give him that exception if Kim volunteered to join the Hunter Corps in a place called Chorwan. He told him that if he went there, then he wouldn't have to wait another year. Chorwan is the place where the 104th Division, the Invincible Hunter Squad, resides. The place his comrades told him to avoid at all costs. The weather is freezing, and the snow constantly falls and piles up a lot. But if you think that's boring, the dungeons and monsters appear out of the blue as well. It is considered the most extreme out of the front lines. But for Kim that was great. Because if he could advance quickly then it didn't matter where he was at, and if he were granted a promotion exception, that would be amazing. On top of that, they had lots of dungeons. Weren't they the best conditions possible for him? For his plan to work, he needed to advance at all costs, and obviously, there was no greater way to get a promotion than to accomplish stuff in dungeons. The commander thought a promotion exception wasn't enough to convince anyone to go there. But Kim agreed to the proposal without hesitation. The commander was shocked. The next day, it was time for their dispatch. Kim's friend asked him why he volunteered to go to the place that everyone avoided. Kim told him that it was too large of a scale for him to fathom. He had an insane goal in life. Then they said their goodbyes, and everyone had left. A while later, Kim's ride arrived. A tall, built man with a scarred face came to pick him up. He said that he was late because of the snow. Kim was surprised because it was not supposed to snow yet. The built man told him to get in the back and they departed for the squad. Kim was immersed in his thoughts. He didn't care if the training was hard or if he had to fight monsters. He had only one worry: hazing. In the military, often the seniors bully their juniors. And Kim lacked the patience to put up with things like that. When he arrived at the Invincible Hunter Corps, he saw that there really was snow. The built man brought him inside the living quarters. Then he showed him to his room, and told his roommates to feed and instruct him. His roommates were super excited to see a newbie. They knew from the rumors that he was the super rookie who slayed a hound by himself. Kim figured that those two were the alphas in that room, and they were looking at him as if they had found a new toy. They asked him why he didn't choose to go to the rear even though his scores were good. Kim respectfully replied that he could get real-life experience and advance the fastest on the front lines. The seniors looked confused. But they said Kim was fucking crazy. They asked him if he had a sister. He said he did not. Then they asked him if he had a girlfriend. He said he had been single since birth. They called him unlucky and told him to show them his talent. Kim told them he could do one-finger push-ups. The redhead got angry and said even they could do that all day. But the other guy told him to calm down and told Kim to show it to them. But a second later, they were speechless. He did on-finger push-ups in a vertical position. They were astonished since no one in their platoon could do that. Except for a bastard who was a sergeant. At that moment, a man came to the room and told them to get lost. The seniors called him that bastard. But Kim recognized him. He was Sergeant Lee Sung-ho. Sergeant Lee was exhausted. The other seniors were annoyed, so they left the room. Sergeant Lee laid down on the floor. Kim was surprised that even in such a tiny space, the difference in ranks was vast. Sergeant Lee called Dongjin and told him to instruct the newbie properly. Dongjin was polite. He took Kim to the military retail store to give him a treat. He asked Kim to order as much as he liked, but Kim ordered 3,000 won worth of food. While they were eating, he asked if they were not allowed to go to the military retail store on a regular basis. Dongjin explained that private first class and below can only go there on weekends. You need to be at least a private first class to use the gym, and a corporal to use the PC rooms. Kim was shocked to hear that. He asked if there was no way to change that. Dongjin explained that you need to be a sergeant to even attempt it. It's no easy task to become a sergeant in the Hunter Corps. He failed the advancement test many times, so he's been a private first class for 3 years. Kim encouraged him, saying he'll pass next time. Kim thought to himself that he needed to advance quickly so he could bring him up with him. At that moment, a delinquent named Corporal Guangshik came up to them. He asked if they were eating delicious things by themselves. Since he was higher in rank, Dongjin had no choice but to invite him to eat with them. Guangshik started eating their food shamelessly. Then he said it was fine if they chatted there, but if the both of them were useless in the next day's firearms training, he wouldn't let them off easy. Dongjin politely said he was just about to tell Kim about the firearms training, but Guangshik was hellbent on making things difficult for them. Kim couldn't take it anymore. He used his E-ranked corruption skill on him. A sharp piercing pain suddenly hit Guangshik's stomach. He got up and started looking for the expiration dates on the chips. But the chips were fine and his stomach pain just got worse. Due to the pain, Guangshik left. Then Kim asked Dongjin about the firearms training. Dongjin explained that the guns they used at the Hunter Corps had higher firepower and stronger recoil. On top of that, the sounds were as if you firing a cannon. He said that if the guns in the training center were a pony, theirs was like a wild horse. Dongjin told him to just be ready to be scolded once, and not worry about it. Kim had also used firearms in the fantastical world. It was like an elephant. So he was looking forward to it. The next day, at the firearms training facility, Kim shot the target 20 times and missed once. Everyone was shocked to see a private get 19 headshots. Even his redhead senior had a record of 14, which was above average. The instructors were impressed too. They said that they heard Kim was an elite and those rumors were indeed true. After that, all the other guys praised him, including the sergeants. They told him that they were looking forward to seeing him in the special firearms training. Kim didn't know what special firearms training was, so Dongjin came up to him. He said that usually new recruits were exempt from it, and he didn't think that Kim would be so good with those firearms. The special firearms training consists of 2-man teams entering the training facility, and they have to eliminate the live monsters en route to the destination. The monsters aren't that strong, but they have to be ready to counter their attack, and civilian plates pop up randomly. If even one plate is damaged, they get an automatic failure. Dongjin reassured him that there was no need to be nervous because the executives controlled the situation, so he didn't need to worry. But unsurprisingly, Kim excitedly thought that it would be fun. Then at lunch, Dongjin complimented Kim for firing 19 headshots. And Kim said that his 13 shots were also quite good. Kim said that since there would be a two-person team, Dongjin should join him. But Dongjin said that the teams are decided by the executives randomly through a ladder lottery. Then it was finally time for the special firearms training. Unfortunately for Kim, his partner was Corporal Guangshik. He said to Kim that the average finish time in their squad was 3 minutes, and if Kim didn't finish in that time he would make him regret it. Kim was silent, but Guangshik kept provoking him. So he said he would try his best. Guangshik told him to watch the team ahead of them and see what they do. It was Sergeant Mungi and Han Young. They were excited because in the past that training was meant to be tactical training for slaying monsters, but now it had become a fun competition to see who finishes the fastest and as cleanly as possible. The display in the waiting area showed their progress. The marker size varies depending on the monsters. The more dangerous it was, the bigger the icon. The encounters were completely random and there was no way to know beforehand what you would be fighting. Sergeant Mungi came across a rake toad, and he thought he was unlucky. And Han Young came across a giant rat, so he thought it would be an easy win for him. But that wasn't the case. Mungi came across 2 rake toads in a row, so he thought that he would lose. But he was the first to arrive at the destination. With that, he won. Han Young lost because the second monster he faced was a desert worm that had a low attack, but incredible defense. Mungi made fun of him saying that he wouldn't be able to protect his nation like that. And according to their bet, Han Young had to treat him to the military retail store. Hearing that, Kim proposed that they should make a bet too. Kim said that the loser would grant the winner one wish. Guangshik laughed and said that there was nothing a private could give to a sergeant. So instead Kim would have to give him 3 months of his salary. Kim thought to himself that Guangshik was a typical simpleton. He agreed to the bet. Before they headed down, the instructor asked them if they had anything to report. They both said no. As the elevator went down, Kim thought to himself that sticking out like a sore thumb wasn't good. But he was not mature enough to sit by when someone provoked him. All the other guys in the waiting area were hyped to see a corporal and a private make a bet. At that moment, a huge tremor shook the ground. They thought it was an earthquake. But Dongjin knew that it wasn't. It was a terrifying green monster called a Cyclops. Kim was wondering what it was eating. It was eating the rat monster that was in the other room. As soon as the Cyclops saw Kim, it was enraged. It threw the rat's core at him. Kim jumped and dodged it. At that moment, all he could think about was that night's dinner menu. He wanted to finish it quickly and go to dinner. Also, he couldn't shoot mindlessly because of the civilian plates placed in the room. The Cyclops was about to throw a punch. So Kim gathered dark magic into his fist and their fists clashed. His dark magic overpowered the Cyclops and destroyed its left arm. But it had incredible regeneration, it instantly grew a giant scythe out of its injured arm. The people in the waiting room were shocked to see what was going on. The instructor thought to himself that the monster Kim was fighting was the Cyclops. It was also known as the devouring demon. Once it consumes a source of energy, its regenerative and attack capabilities increase drastically until digestion is complete. But something was weird. It broke free from captivity and got enraged after eating the other monster. So the instructor was wondering just what in the world could have provoked it. The Cyclops was attacking Kim fiercely. But Kim was dodging everything effortlessly. He called it an active son of a bitch and shot it in the eye. It screamed in pain because the eye took longer to regenerate. Kim took this chance to charge at it. But somehow the Cyclops knew exactly where he was, and attacked him. Kim was surprised, he wondered if it could see or maybe it judged from the sound. Kim dodged it by bending his body low. Then the Cyclops tried to squash him with his other arm. The Cyclops was confused. Kim was much stronger than the Cyclops. Kim thought it was strange. There was no way the military would use such a dangerous monster for training. On top of that, he squished its eye, yet somehow it detected his location twice in a row. So Kim realized that the Cyclops was reacting to his demonic energy. The instructor was worried about Kim. So he took a handheld heavy machine gun and ran to rescue Kim. Because an enraged Cyclops was not something a new recruit could handle. At the same time, Guangshik was running to the destination after slaying the monsters on his side. Looking at his watch, he figured that he would finish in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Since a private shouldn't be able to catch up to his speed, he was thinking about how to use Kim's salary. But at that moment, he knew. He fucked up. Guangshik was petrified, and the instructor was baffled to see the monster's corpse. He wondered just how he shot for it to end up like that. When Kim returned to the waiting area, everyone cheered and congratulated him. A private defeating a Fed Cyclops was an unbelievable feat, and Dongjin was worried about Kim. They asked him how he defeated it, and Kim told them he defeated it like how they thought him. Then someone mentioned the bet that was placed. Guangxik was pissed. He hit him. He said it wasn't a fair situation and called off the bet. He explained that according to the rules they had to defeat 2 monsters. But Kim only fought 1. He pressured everyone to agree with him that it wasn't fair. Since it was firearms training, Kim didn't feel good about finishing it with his fists. So he planned to forget about the bet. But Guangxik's behavior was annoying. At that moment, someone asked Guangxik if he wasn't ashamed of himself and said that the newbie took the bigger risk. Guangxik asked which son of a bitch said that. They were shocked to see that it was Sergeant Lee Sung-ho. Guangxik asked if he was trying to show off his rank. But Sergeant Lee told him that it was Guangxik who was showing off. Guangxik tried to play it off as a joke. But Sergeant Lee asked him if everything that wasn't going his way was a joke to him. He further humiliated him by saying that having a higher rank was nice. Because the stubborn mules who used to be your seniors become surprisingly obedient. Kim was delighted to see that. And Guangxik was so aggravated that he almost burst a blood vessel. And that is all for now. The title of this manhwa is in the description, and this video only contained chapters 7 to 11. I will make a part 3 video in the coming weeks. So if you don't want to miss that, subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications.